Okay, I've been watching a bunch of Uncle Larry videos this morning. So this week we're going to be talking about what to do and how to prepare if you're thinking about moving to Nashville. Tonally, if you're digging what's happening on that little intro, I'm running through an Archer Select into a Univerb, both from J Rocket Audio, into a HDR-X20, into an aux box. So I'll put the affiliate links down in the description. That's the best way to help out the channel. If you click on those, they give me a little bit of a cut if you buy something. But enough of the sales pitch. Okay, let's get into it. For those of you that are new to the channel, my name's Nicky V. I'm a studio musician here in Nashville, so I play guitar on people's records. And I'm doing the YouTube thing now as well. And I'm trying to kind of pull back the curtain a little bit and kind of show you like an insider look into Nashville and the music scene here and what it looks like. And I've been getting a lot of questions about what it's like moving to town, how to prepare to move to town. So I thought I'd make this video about that and try to help some people out and kind of say what I wish I'd have known whenever I first got here. So the first skill you need to learn before you move to Nashville is to learn how to learn songs. Okay, that's absolutely paramount. You have to learn how to learn music. And when I say learn the song, I don't mean just like have a rough idea what the harmony's like and improvise a solo in the middle of it. I mean like really nail every single little nuance of it. Like if you're on an artist gig, you're getting paid to provide a service. We're in the service industry, right? This is fun, it's artistic and beautiful and everything. But bottom line is we're getting paid to provide a service, and that service most of the time is playing the record. So be able to play all the signature licks, all the fills exactly like the record, obviously have a command of the harmonic structure as well, and know all the ins and outs of every little aspect of the song. And a lot of the time on a record, there's 4 or 5 layers of guitars, for example. So say you're a guitar player, pick out, what's the most highlighted predominant parts and play those to fill out the mix as best you can live. Because there might not be another guitar player. There's definitely not 5 other guitar players on stage covering the exact record. So you kind of have to make a composite of all those and kind of hit the high points. If you're a bass player, keyboard player, just play the record spot onto the record. And if you're a drummer, they might ask you to put a little bit more sauce on it, right? Because they might just want a little more live energy happening on stage. But stick to the original the best you can. Number 2 is probably building up a giant catalog of songs and just having a ton of things memorized. And you don't have to do this because a lot of it you'll learn on the job, right? Like the minute you get to town and you start playing shows, you'll learn quickly what the songs are that you have to learn. And you make a little note in your phone of all the songs you didn't know. And then you start learning them every night after the show or the next day or whatever. So you're prepared for the next time it comes up. And, if you're playing on Broadway, it's pretty tip driven and request driven. And I don't have the most insight into playing down there. I play down there some, but not as much as the guys that are doing it like all the time. So for better insight into that side of it, if you're interested in that, check out like Tim Avon's channel or Aaron Apter's channel. They're both great and kind of break it down and also talk about like what it pays and all that. So say you're an artist or vocalist who just got to town and you're trying to pay your bills while also funding an album project and trying to put music out there and promote your own stuff. A lot of people will go to Broadway to do that. So they'll go down there for the steady income. But to do that, you have to have a ton of songs memorized and just know the melodies of all the current hits and stay very up to date on the radio stuff that's currently out. And then just know all the old classic standards and the stuff that's always going to come up every show. Number 3 is going to be having your gear together. So make sure your pedal board works. It doesn't cut in and out on you. If it does, take it down to Exact Tone Solutions here in town and have them rewire it so it like stays solid and won't go down on you on stage. Have the 3 primary colors of guitar. Say you're a guitar player, have a Stratotelli and some, humbucker flavored something and a Fender flavored amp right there. If you're a bass player, this is an important term, okay? Stick with me on this one. You need an FSO, okay? That's FSO. And what that stands for is Fender Shaped Object. This is crucial. And we say it as a joke, but it's actually true. If you show up with some crazy pointy thing or exotic bass with custom tone woods and your name in the neck or something like that, nobody wants that. Go get a $300 Mexican P bass off Marketplace, and it's going to probably sit in the mix better than your $4,000 custom bass anyways. Get you an FSO. Same applies to guitar players. Make sure you have some kind of FSO on hand. So I'm about to get into the really important stuff, but if you guys like this kind of content, please hit the like and subscribe if you're enjoying this. So if you find this stuff helpful or interesting or at least entertaining, I'm putting my Venmo and my PayPal link down in the description as well. So number 4, financially prepare because everything's harder when you're broke. You don't want to live life on hard mode, right? You can have some other job possibly that's paying for yourself while you're trying to get your feet off the ground in town. But what I tell people to do is try to have some kind of nest egg, or some, a year or 2 of rent built up if you can lean on. So when you get to town, you can just network and do what you need to do musically to get your career off the ground and not have to stress about it and worry about it. So I did that. I worked to work on cruise ships right after college. Did that, saved a bunch of money, came to town, and I also made sure that I had enough money already coming in with income to pay my rent every month and my basic needs and expenses. So I built up an online recording following before I got to Nashville. And I knew, okay, my rent's going to cost this, roughly this on food, car insurance, whatever I need. Okay, can I cover all that with just my online recording outside of any network I have that I currently didn't have in Nashville at the time. And I did that, then I moved to town. So I have one of those three or a combination of those three. Number 5 would be to have a plan. You have to have a plan, and within that plan, have actionable goals you can set and actually work towards. Like write it down on a piece of paper, write down what your goals are and the steps you need to get there. You're going to be 10 times more likely to get it if it's physically in front of you. You have to look at it every day, put it on your fridge or something. Do that. I think it actually works. I know you see that on like the uplifting, charismatic speakers on Facebook videos that pop up trying to sell you something. But I think it actually works. Write that stuff down, see if it helps. And you have to have a plan, right? Like say your goal is to be a studio musician or a producer or something. It's really hard to do anything with microphones where you're living if you're renting. Okay, so you have to have a house for that. If you want to produce vocals, and if you're a drummer even, it's really hard. You have to have a space that you can control and you can treat the room. You can't make window modifications like I have over here if you're renting somewhere. I wanted hardwood floor. You can't usually rip up the carpet and whatever you're renting and put in some kind of hardwood or something. So to get that house, for example, you have to have a plan put in place. Talk to musicians that have houses, figure out how they did it, because things in our line of work are more difficult when you're self-employed. If you're not a W-2 employee, it's really hard to get a loan for a house. So you have to do stuff like go through like bank statement programs. So they look at 24 months of your bank statements and then take the average of that. Okay, we need a plan for that, because say you're, have a bunch of deductions on your taxes, or say you're, taking your cash tips on Broadway and just putting them in your pocket. Well, you might need to take those and put them in your bank account for a while to show like actual tangible income coming in that can be tracked by the government. That's what you need. And if you're going to get a loan, if you want to play the game, you have to pay basically. So if you're going to do a bank statement program, Nashville's super expensive. The houses here are crazy high. So you're going to need to show, I'm not a financial advisor, so I don't take this for a grain of salt, but I just know from me and my friends, you have to really show at least $6,000 to $7,000 a month in bank statements and averages for 2 years to get a bank statement program. And then they're still going to rake you across the coals on the interest rate, even if you have great credit and savings and no debt. It's just part of the game if you're self-employed. Everything's harder if you're self-employed doing that. But that's the price we pay to play music for a living, and it's fun and it's cool. And we make our own schedule, and we don't have a boss telling us what to do. And that's a good thing. Number 6 would be planning where you want to live, because you want to be relatively centrally located to where you want to go out and network most of the time. You don't want to have any barriers between you and going and meeting people when you first get here, right? So it might make more sense to rent someplace, kind of in the middle of it where all the action's at in town when you first get here. So you don't have to drive into town 30 or 40 minutes or something like that. And different parts of town here in Nashville have different vibes and different kind of characters and cliques that hang out in those certain places. East Nashville is super cool, but there's little rough pockets over there as well. I try to avoid Highway 24 like the plague, because it's just traffic's crazy down that way, and I don't really network down there or have any gigs down that way. If you got money and you can afford it, Brentwood and Franklin are amazing, but they're super expensive. And it's got its own little clique and scene down there as well, especially like the Christian music world. And I personally really like West Nashville. Everything's a little bit cheaper over there. And right now I live in Northwest Nashville, and I'm, 10, 15 minutes from downtown. And I still got a little spot of land here, and it's pretty, and I feel like I'm in the country, which is a great thing about Nashville. Belmead, if you're old and rich, is killer, but most people can't afford it. But just kind of read a bunch of, online forums and go to Reddit and figure out what part of Nashville you like. And if you can, come down here and check it out, which leads us to our next point, is to network smarter, not harder. And how you can do that is start taking trips down here, like get in your car or fly to Nashville, depending on where you live, and come here and drive around the town and figure out what you like. Figure out, do I like this part of town? Do I like Berry Hill? Or do I really want to be in Franklin and try to make that happen? Or is East Nashville my spot? Because there's a huge guitar clique over there or something like that. And there is. Figure out where you want to be and get a feel for it. Go to Berry Hill and get some tacos at Baja Burrito and drive around to see if you like the vibe of it. If you're an artist and trying to get a publishing deal, go to Music Row, drive down 16th Avenue and 17th Avenue and stand out in front of Ocean Way and think, okay, can I envision myself walking in here with, my gear someday to record an album? Try to put yourself there, and you'll know quick if it's for you or not for you. It'll be super apparent. The last point I want to make is that you have to have one person that's really in your corner. This person has to totally believe in you, be an evangelical for your brand, and that person, if they're a little connected, will introduce you to 3 or 4 people, and those 3 or 4 people introduce you to 9 more people, and those 9 become 27, and that's how your network grows. So that first contact is the hardest one. But from there, it tends to grow exponentially if you have the skill set and the personality to make it work. I do truly appreciate you guys spending some time here with me. I hope you found this interesting or helpful. I know there's a bunch of other fantastic channels out there with incredible editing and content and all the good stuff. So it means a lot. Thank you. If any of you guys are interested in guitar lessons, you can just click on the link down in the description. It takes you straight to my website. You can click on it right there and book it and pay it. Good to go. And it goes straight to my calendar. Easy peasy. If any of you guys are singer-songwriters or artists out there wanting tracks done, I do a bunch of that here at my house as well. And I do remote production through my website, which is called Nashville Tracking. I'll put a link to it as well down there. Just click on that. It gives you the price breakdown and everything. And love to help you make your musical vision come to life. So appreciate you guys hanging out. Like and subscribe. I'll put another related video and a subscribe button over one of these shoulders here. Thanks, guys.